this is great. You're watching the video, you're getting this data. That's fantastic. But if you never take action on it, it's really meaningless, right? Unless you're going to use it on an episode of Jeopardy one day, like who cares all this data and knowledge and all that you have, unless you're acting on it and it's taking you closer to your goals, your financial goals, your life goals, your freedom goals, that sort of thing.
Welcome, everybody. So what we're going to talk about today is the new world is now opening up. And what is the near future going to look like? And, Brian, I want to hand it to you and maybe start off with some of your thoughts on how, the new reality is going to look like and what's going to happen and how that's going to impact the real estate market.
Yeah, absolutely, Omar. So, I know for me personally, here we are in July. And what has changed for me, and that's been, I've spent quite a bit of time on the patio with friends and family, reconnecting with people, that sort of thing, as the world is, starting to open up. Canada is starting to open up. Toronto is starting to open up. But today we also wanted to talk about, what does that mean for the future for you and in real estate specifically. So just sort of diving into that of, again, I'm going to reference an article I saw that said, if as the world is opening up, people's focus is moving away from real estate. You want to go to the next slide? So, Canada's hot housing market cools as buyers eye post-COVID life. Is this actually true? Is this what's going on? Next. It may be true that real estate may not be the focus for some. However, there's a whole other group, investors, where it could become the primary focus. Like, for example, people like me and my friends, my investor contacts. Now, why? Why would that, as everything is opening up and we're moving away and perhaps the market is starting to slow down according to the headlines, why would people like myself, investors, suddenly become interested in what's going on? Well, I want to take you again beyond the headlines to some of the other stuff that is going on. So one of the first things, and actually this you will see in the headlines, is that rents. Remember a year and a half ago, that was the big story, was rents were plummeting, especially in the downtown cores. And all of a sudden, people who had been doing Airbnbs or were doing regular rental were having to put their houses, their units up for sale. They couldn't find renters. Rents were plummeting. It was a really big problem. But now that is actually starting to swing in the other direction. We're seeing, especially in places like the downtown centers in different cities, where rents are starting to rebound. People are returning to work. Businesses are recalling people. People are moving back into downtown. In fact, and Omar and I will talk more about this in another session, rents are actually starting to behave like the real estate market was, where you've got multiple offers, like people are getting into bidding wars over rentals and giving above asking rent in order to get places as they're starting to come back to work, come back to school, all these sorts of things that are happening this summer and this fall. So we're seeing this red hot rental market start to take off. Well, that's when a guy like me or a gal like you starts to look at this and says, oh, well, now might be a good time to get back in, to get my investment property and take advantage as those rents start to go up, as people are moving back into the downtown core. As I said here, the death of downtown was a bit premature. Okay, it is not necessarily, yes, there are some changes going on, but the death of downtown was widely exaggerated from what I'm hearing now. A second big point I want to talk about is immigration. Omar, you mentioned that, right? So obviously immigration into Canada basically stopped as of COVID. And it's been more than a year now since we've really been letting anybody come into the country. Well, the stats that I'm aware of is that on average, Canada lets in about 200,000 people a year. And of course, where do most of those people wind up going? They mostly are going to the city centers and the surrounding suburbs, where they're going to be able to find jobs and start a life for their family, which is why they moved here in the first place. Well, the Canadian government is talking about doubling the immigration numbers for the first couple of years to sort of kickstart and get things back going again, because we rely so much on immigrant families coming to this country. So what that could mean is over the next 2 years, potentially 800,000 new people could be coming to Canada. Where are they probably going to wind up? Well, it's going to be the Vancouvers, the Torontos, the Montreals, the Calgarys, the Edmontons, sometimes maybe the Winnipegs in Saskatchewan and that sort of thing as well. But the point being, they're going to be going to where the jobs are. What does this mean? They're all going to need a place to live. In some cases, that could mean properties that I have had, I could be selling to these people as they're moving here. But the bigger one is probably the rental. Okay, so if rents are already starting to swoop back up again and immigration hasn't been turned on yet, imagine what's going to happen when it does. Okay, a couple of other points to remember: interest rates are pegged to remain at record low levels for probably at least another year. That could change, but that's what the Bank of Canada and the Fed in the US is talking about right now. So if interest rates are staying super low, we're going to have influxes of hundreds of thousands of people. Rents are starting to go up. Hopefully this is painting a picture for you why investors like us are starting to go, aha, now is the time to be looking to get back into the market. And what is going to be the hottest market that we're going to be looking at? Well, we've already been starting to talk about it. We know that single family homes have been priced through the roof, and immigrants are, most of them are probably not going to be able to afford that. Even semis, duplexes, townhomes, even those are starting to go crazy in the suburbs where those are pushing $1 million. So this all arrows point towards the condo market potentially having the most dramatic growth. It's almost like single family homes went crazy and then townhomes went crazy, and now condos have a lot of room to start to catch up over the next couple of years with all these factors that we are discussing. So this is an area that I am looking into very closely, and my friends, my associates, my clients, my investment partners are also looking at is the condo market.
Amazing. Yep. I couldn't agree more with everything you're saying. And I just want to remind everybody that if you're interested in knowing the details of what's happening on a micro level, on a macro level, in the real estate market, if you want to know what areas are moving faster than others, what type of houses are moving faster than others, there is a video that we can send you that we do at once a month that you can send us an email and ask for, and we can send it to you right away. That will show kind of how the condos have performed, how the townhouses have performed, and how the detached properties have performed. It's a really, really interesting topic. And I just want to add one small thing to what you said, Brian, is, before I do that, let's just kind of assess what are we talking about here? We're talking about people who have been locked up throughout COVID. And for people who have not been able to travel, people who have not been able to go out dining, people who have gotten used to staying home and working from home and have started to hate being at home and want to be out, people who have experienced depression and very tough kind of mental states. These people have now had the opening to just kind of to go in and enjoy life again, once again, with great weather. You try to go into any patio today and see how long you have to wait in order to get in, right? And try to go into a park, and there are parks that are asking that you register before you go there because they are trying to control how many people go in there at a time. So the basic premise is that people are not thinking about real estate right now. People are thinking about enjoying life. They're thinking about living in the moment. A lot of the people are not investing in their own growth. They're investing in enjoying the moment. So that poses a great opportunity for investors and non-investors alike. If you are trying to get into the market but find it very difficult to do so, right? You can snatch a good deal today when you go into the market because A, there's not as many people looking. B, these people who are listed here at this time have probably been listed a couple of months before and haven't sold, right? And C, we're approaching August, and August is a bit of on a statistical level, is one of the slower months of the year. So it's a great opportunity for investors and non-investors alike. I know that as an agent, I've been, nudging a lot of our investors and letting them know that you guys need to start looking at the market. Even our buyers, people who couldn't afford, I'm saying let's reassess. Let's go back into the market and let's see if we can make a success out of an opportunity that doesn't always exist in a market like the Toronto market or the GTA. Brian, I know that you wanted to talk about your investment, or did you have anything to add about this slide?
No, other than I completely agree with your assessment around that. And yeah, obviously, it means different things for different people. But what we're trying to highlight here is that, it's not about, oh, well, that means the real estate market is now going to crash because nobody's paying attention to it anymore. And for investors like us, it's actually good when, there's a lot less focus and a lot less intention, because that's, as you said, where you can start to see these deals. And that comes to an example that I wanted to share, a real life example. We want you to know that we're literally putting our money where our mouth is, and we're actually acting on these types of things. Because listen, this is great. You're watching the video, you're getting this data, that's fantastic. But if you never take action on it, it's really meaningless, right? Unless you're going to use it on an episode of Jeopardy one day, like who cares all this data and knowledge and all that you have, unless you're acting on it and it's taking you closer to your goals, your financial goals, your life goals, your freedom goals, that sort of thing. So in that vein, I wanted to share a real life example of exactly what we've been talking about for the last few minutes. So some of my investor friends and past clients of mine and I have already gotten into the condo game in the last couple of months. So there was 5 of us. We heard about an opportunity out in Calgary, which I lived in Calgary for 10 years. So, that helped. I already know the city. But we heard about a project where the project was almost done. There was a few inventory models, things that kind of stalled out for COVID. And now all of a sudden, these were going privately, going back for sale. Prices were the same as pre-COVID. So you're talking about a year and a half of no price increases. And then the builder had included some phenomenal incentives because they wanted to get rid of these last few units. They have some other big projects coming up later this year. They wanted to unload this inventory. So my friends and I saw this as a highly lucrative opportunity. Given all the potential of real estate and the things we were just talking about, low interest rates, immigration, rents starting to swoop around again, where, the economy, everybody's talking about it could be the roaring 20s again as things take off. All of these things pointed to, and there's no sure things in life. I do not have a crystal ball, not yet, still working on it, but it pointed to a potentially very lucrative opportunity. So sure enough, after 18 months of lockdown, went ahead and purchased a unit, and it was in that condo market. Why? Because as I pointed out earlier, and as Omar has said, if you want more data on this, we can certainly supply it. But I see that the condo market in the big cities across Canada are going to be some of the only affordable housing left after the dramatic increases that we've seen in detached in town. And some of you out there might be thinking, what's your definition of affordable? Well, it's all relative. Okay, so and having said this was inventory models that I bought at the end of a project, but I'm also still a big fan of pre-construction condos, something that I've been investing in for 7 years. I have 8 other pre-construction units. This was my first at the end of a project inventory unit. So this is something that I'm actually doing. I am actively involved in. It's part of my investment plan. And if there's anybody out there who's listening, whoever was like, I've always wanted to get into condos and specifically pre-con, but I don't know where to go to get educated, to find out information. I don't want to make a mistake and buy into the wrong project, which is extremely easy to do. There's so many projects out there, and most of them are not worth it. Okay, so I actually run an entire 12-week program just on, and I have no projects for sale. I do not promote any projects. You can ask Omar. I'm not a realtor. This is all about educating and empowering you, showing you what I did to buy 8 pre-construction units so you can go out there and do the same. My next course is going to be starting up probably in August. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out, let me know. We can chat further about it.
That's amazing, Brian, and I can testify for the quality of the education that you're going to get with Brian. I do know that in Walmart, I saw that they were selling some crystal balls, Brian. If you're interested, and I wouldn't fully rely on these crystal balls, but I can tell you for a fact that if you're trying to take advantage of the real estate market today, but you're not able to fully qualify for the property that you want to buy, pre-construction is a phenomenal route, and it's a little bit easier to get into, a lot more convenient, and there's a lot of advantages of buying pre-con in today's market, especially when you are competing up against so many buyers, which you will also compete in pre-con, but having somebody who's a VIP agent will give you access to some inventory and guarantee that you will have an option at the end. I hope that you guys are enjoying being out of COVID and making room for living your life, but please don't forget about the opportunities that could be missed when everybody else is enjoying life. It's a great time for you to start thinking about how you can get into the real estate market if that's something that you want. I hope that this was valuable for you, and we look forward to seeing you again.